Hi, today I'm at Rick's Diner in Sacramento, and I'm here with Glory Albin, and she has the wonderful blog called Glorious Treats. It's one of my favorites. I look at it every day.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I always like to have an excuse to come to a dessert place.
Oh, I know. I asked her, I said, is there any place we could meet? When you were a little girl, were you always a baker?
I always loved making pretty food. So growing up, my mom is a really good baker, so we would bake a lot of things at the holidays, Christmas time and things. And I was, of 3 children, I would be the one spending literally a half an hour on each cookie. Like, the other girls were like gone doing their thing, ate their cookie, and I'm like, do not anybody eat this cookie, because, I mean, when I'm like 8, 10 years old, because I'm like finding toothpicks to move sprinkles and things like that. Everybody else in my family thought I was insane, but so I've always loved like.
So you were destined to do this.
Yeah, I think I kind of was. Now I love having an outlet where like being obsessed with moving a sprinkle with tweezers is like okay, you know, like
yes.
People aren't like that's still psychotic.
That's right.
They're like, oh please show me how to move the sprinkles with tweezers. Yay.
So when you started the blog, were you, or really kind of when you got into baking, were you more of a cookie person or more of a cake baking person?
Well, growing up as a child, like I said, my mom taught us all the basics of baking. Baking from scratch and making chocolate chip cookies and brownies and pie crust, you know, things at Thanksgiving, lots of pies at Thanksgiving. And when I was like 10, 11, 12, young teenager, what we would do, I'm from a small town, and what we would do to earn money during the summer is enter baked goods in the fair. And so most summers I would enter several different, you know, say if the year theme at the fair was banana cream pie was like the high prize category, then I would practice for months in advance. You know, all we'd be making is banana cream pie for a couple months and practicing, and then I'd enter those, and I would win a couple different times. I won maybe $50 as a one prize thing. So I would win a couple of those, and that was my summer money. So I've always enjoyed baking specifically.
You have,
yeah. And because I like pretty food, baking kind of lends itself more than cooking. So, I mean, I don't know, some chefs would actually be mad that I just said that,
no,
but
right.
in some ways, baking can be more decorative. It lends itself to that more naturally. So I love cooking also, but there's only so many hours in the day, so at this point I'm so focused on baking that I do that more, but I do like cooking too. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I only cook and I don't bake, or I only bake and I don't cook.
Yes.
But I actually really enjoy both.
Where do you go for inspiration?
I think because I was a florist so long, I still do get a lot of inspiration from nature and flowers and color. And because I have always loved color and design, like, I mean, I'll see something, it might be a gardening magazine, but I get an idea for a whole party off of...
Maybe just color combinations.
Yeah, color I think is probably the primary place that I like to get inspiration, because from 2 colors, I could do a whole party, and then from that maybe party theme, I'm thinking of what baked goods or what cookies would match with that. So, color and design.
So do you come up with do you see a color scheme and you say, hey, I could do something, or
yeah.
is it the other way around?
Often I see a color and think, oh my goodness, that would make a beautiful party, or a beautiful frosting, or you know, like people are looking at a painted house and I'm seeing frosting. You know, like, oh, that's a good shade of pink.
It's a great combination.
Yeah, it looks terrible on a house, but it looks great for frosting.
And then you go from there.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, I like reading magazines. I like reading other people's blogs. So often I'll see something there and be like, ooh, I really like that idea. I'd like to try it a little different, or merge ideas from several different places and put together.
Is there a dessert that you've tried that you just can't master and you're still working on trying to perfect it?
There's a couple things that I've yet to try. Like, for some reason, creme brulee is like one of those things that scared me for a long time. I'm not scared of it anymore, I just haven't, and I have the dishes and I have the torch. I just haven't quite done it yet. But I've at least gotten past the fear of it. And most of the, like, hard candies or coffee and things like that. Things that have to be like a specific temperature, they worry me a bit. Last Christmas I've tried toffee in the past and wasn't 100% satisfied with it, and so last Christmas I was kind of obsessed with that. I was like, I will not be defeated by the toffee, and so in one day I literally made 4 batches of toffee, a couple of which went straight into the trash because either I burned it or I poured it out and it's still tacky. I mean, it's very precise. But by the end of that day, I had toffee perfected.
Nice.
I mean, satisfactorily.
And what made you start your blog?
I started the blog after I had been on Flickr, so that's a photo sharing website, for a while. I had discovered Flickr early on when my interest for decorative baking really took off, and I was doing a bunch of Google searches on decorative cupcakes and decorative cookies, and I was finding images, and a lot of them were on Flickr, and I started a Flickr account and would post my photos and found really kind of a community of people there, other people interested in the same things and sharing ideas, and I would look at their photos, they would look at mine, we'd comment, so you get that positive feedback. And I was enjoying that, but over time, a lot of people would email me, you know, what did you do for this, what did you do for that, the recipe for this, and sometimes it's the same questions I'd already answered last week to somebody else, and I thought, well, I could start a blog and post the things that I want to post in the order I want to post them, and answer people's questions as I desire, and then I don't have to say things 3 times either. And so it was just kind of a little transition, a new
not unintentional.
Yeah,
but
I mean it kind of grew on its as the interest on Flickr grew.
Right.
And it was about the time I was reading other blogs also, so it was, you know, it still is kind of
you
a
had
new,
something to say and somebody wanted that information.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I had something to say, people were asking for it, and I thought, well, that would be a new format to be able to do it on. And also on Flickr, you're posting individual photos with the caption, and sometimes on a party or a recipe, you'd like to see 3 or 4 or 6 photos together.
Yeah.
In a linear
so
format.
Then maybe we're getting
so it was actually, it worked out better for formatting. You know, I can post 6 photos in a row.
Right.
And put the information in a way that makes sense instead of just individual photos.
Right. I just wanted to know, like, what blogs do you like to follow?
I read quite a few blogs, and I still come across blogs where I was like, where I discover it and think, how have I not been reading this blog? Like, it's beautiful. There are a lot of really beautiful blogs out there. I mean, Bakerella was one that I have been reading for a very long time, and she still inspires me. I have good friends that I have met online that I consider friends, and they have beautiful blogs. A friend of mine from Australia, Charnel, has a blog, My Life, My Loves, and she does beautiful work. And a good friend of mine, Callie, is Sweet Sugar Belle, and she's an incredible cookie artist. I love Sweet Apolita. I love Sweetopia is a cookie blog. I Am Baker, Bake at 350, Annie's Eats, My Baking Addiction. That was one that I only found recently, and I thought, where have I been? It's gorgeous.
Right.
But there's a long list of blogs that I try to keep up with. It's impossible to follow them all, but...
Well, let me ask you, how much time do you spend reading other blogs?
It depends on the day. I try to do that as like my free time, you know, like do my blogging work first, because otherwise there are so many beautiful blogs I can get. I mean, I can spend all day just reading other blogs, and sometimes I do if I'm low on inspiration or if I have free time. In general, I keep up with the blogs that I follow regularly through Facebook. So like, oh, in fact, I have to say a couple more. Confessions of a Cookbook Queen, I love. And Cookies and Cups is another one. Those both I keep up with. So through Facebook. So you know that kind of reminds me. So maybe every morning I'll go to Facebook and they'll say, you know, new post or whatever. So I'll click on it through there. But sometimes even that, the stream gets so long that I just don't have time to keep up with all of them. Tomcat Studio, I love. Amy Atlas. I mean, that's not really a blog. It's like.
Well, thank you very much for coming out tonight. And I got a little cupcake from Glory.
Well, see, that's how I make friends, right? By feeding them.
Friend for life.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love meeting new people and having a good excuse to have a dessert. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you.